Here are the best business credit cards for 2023 and beyond into 2024 as we're closing out this year, what you should know about, also including 0% interest funding up to $250,000 and above without documents. That is right, no bank statements, tax returns, P&L, debt schedule, and much more. Hi, welcome in. This is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business funding expert, a business loan broker expert, as well as pre-underwriter slash underwriter who's been in this credit space for a very long time. I've also been helping people with SBA loans, 7A, 504, 8A mentoring, microloans, cap line programs, and many others, as well as cash flow revenue backed funding through term loans. You have advances, other types of products, equipment financing, leasing, and more under that, collateral, liquidity, equity, venture capital, private investors of different types, angel investors, and much more. And so in this video, I'll be getting into another tab in a second to go over about 3 to 4 or so. I'll give you a bonus view. And then also I'll be getting into how to get 0% interest cards and what's the criteria that these banks are looking for that don't always tell you. And you can't always see it up front. Even when you try to call in all the time, they don't have all that information ready. But I've been through this myself. My main banking relationship is Chase, and that is one on the list. I'm not going to make you wait till the very end like a lot of others do. And they say, well, if you stick around to the third or fourth one, then I'll show you what's best and you might just speed through it. Okay, that's one thing you could do. But I'm going to share with you what I believe to be the best and what cards and for what you need to use that money for. That's also very important. And if you need to liquidate the cash out of these cards and use that for real estate, for other purchases that you need, a down payment and applying it in different ways, I'm very helpful in that regard to show you how to maximize the potential and how you use those funds, as well as understanding cash flow, profitability, EBITDA, understanding how to improve that. I help a lot of people with as well. But at the end of the day, it's how you use these funds. Are you just using it for utilities? You have rent, for a lot of overhead, low overhead, cost of goods sold. Are your margins, are you squeezing through barely? Are you not getting enough gross and net profit margins for break even points? There's a lot of different numbers, but let's go ahead and start off with number one in our list, or you could say on our list. I'm an introvert, by the way, so this kind of stuff does happen. I'm not the most video centric person. I've just been doing it for some time that I've kind of developed that. I'm more of a written type of person. So the first one you see on our screen here is the Chase site that we're on, but we're looking at the Business Preferred Inc. card, and that's where we will want to start off with. And moving into 2024, this is going to be one of the highest wanted and needed cards for many beginners, as well as those who are trying to go from personal to business. And it might not be able to get some of the higher cards from Chase, or you may be able to, but you need another one in your back pocket for maybe lower costs and lower spending, or even for medium to higher costs. But a lot of the times, this might be one in your back pocket that you just need ready to use as quickly as you can to help you to also be able to share the utilization, the average age, a lot of different things on your account and accounts and what you build. So the Chase Business Preferred Card, you get to earn 100,000 bonus points after. I know there's not really like a catch, you could say, but I've had many Chase cards myself, so I understand the relationship. And you have to have a good relationship with them. It's recommended to have that a relationship manager. And I have them with Chase, with Bank of America, US Bank, Wells Fargo, and many others, regional, community as well. We won't go too deep into those ones, but those are also out there. I'll try to leave more of a list down below in the description. I'll leave more information in the description too, how you can get started in case you also want 0% interest business credit card strategically from an expert, from somebody who cares, somebody who's been in your situation. I run multiple businesses. This is a passion project of mine. I'm not doing it for the money. I really want to help you as a person in your health, in your relationships. There is no catch or any of that. What's that word that people use? Cap? I don't use that kind of language. But I'm here to really help you, and I invest in you as a person, in your health and your relationships. I really want to see you succeed, and there's more ways to succeed than just in business. And I want to help you as a person. I've worked on myself, not that I've been bad, but I've worked on myself in terms of personal development. I was looking for the word, excuse me, but character and core values, vision, and mission matters to me a lot. And it says a lot about someone too. And I want you to know that I'm very loyal. I'm a Libra, if that says anything. Very analytical. I review a lot of bank statements, tax returns. I don't talk as much, but I do a lot of my work and I take action. So after you spend 8,000, earn 100,000 in bonus points on purchases in the first 3 months after account opening. So whatever personal card or cards you have, you may have the same introduction. Sorry, if you heard that, there was a phone call coming in. But you might see that already on the personal side. You might get something with 60,000 points or 80,000 points. Depends on the bank, the location as well, the tier of the card and the exposure to it, and how much overhead you already have and how much they really want to issue you on that card. So here you see that rewards designed for your business. You can earn 3 points per dollar on the first $150,000 that are spent in combined purchases. So keywords combined purchases in the following categories, each account anniversary year in that year, whichever that one is. For shipping purchases, you have internet, cable, and phone services. So there's a wide variety already from what I just said that you can cast a net around and use. And a lot of us use this on our day to day, use it in our business and businesses. So there's that, especially with shipping purchases and the cost on that. You look at the cost of goods sold, cost of sales, and a lot of this stuff, and trying to squeeze out every dollar you can for every unit you're moving out. Maybe you're not moving out as much inventory or bringing in as much inventory, not enough storage, or ordering every day. Depends on the nature of the business and what you're exactly using your funds for. Advertising purchases with social media sites and search engines, really cool stuff. I use it for a lot of that as well. Very helpful, as well as my other cards are, because I can run up my marketing and advertising. Sometimes I just shut things down. I don't have to focus on that. And at the end of the day, I think you want something that's going to give you also enough purchasing power, enough points, because right now it's hard for a lot of people in the market. A lot of people don't have the credit. A lot of people don't have a partnership. They can't bring somebody into their business to help them get credit cards, business credit cards. And there's a little bit about that I'm going to try to get to towards the end of this. And so you're trying to be as resourceful, but at the same time, there's so much impact. And if you're in the wrong state as well, you're not getting access to these locations. I mean, Chase is all around, but when you get into like the lower tiers, you start seeing the regional ones, the community credit unions. You got to become more specialized. So I always recommend starting at the top and working your way down. If you can start at the bottom and work your way up, that's becoming very popular right now. And I'm focusing a little bit on that because I've already built things on the personal and business side already. But why people do that too is because of the access, because of the memberships, and because of maybe they have family members within. So like Navy Federal, and there's a few other ones that are out there that are very accompanying, very helpful. But you also have to be aware of the inquiries, the amount of inquiries. Will you get approved for that credit? Is that easy to get approved for? How much time do you need? And so there are benefits to that, but it just depends on the institution, depends on your credit report and reports. As I tell a lot of people, I review a lot of credit reports, excuse me. I spoke a little bit earlier, is helping a few people. I'm not much of a talker again. And so I just want you to know that it's going to come down to your credit report and reports. Every person is different. And so until I better understand your report and reports, that'll be better for me to understand, well, what could you get? What balances do you currently have? What's your utilization ratio? What's your average age of accounts? What's your highest age on your account, your primary account? What other things do you have? Are there too many authorized users? Or what else is going on? Is there one authorized user you're on with somebody, or something else is happening where you're adopting credit? Should you do that first? Like there's a lot of different avenues to this. So I'll help you. Again, more information down below. I'll leave a questionnaire form as well as a free credit line video series up to 250,000 and even more than that. It's just not just the cap on that, meaning like that's not just the maximum amount, but I'll leave that down below as well as more resources. Please fill out that questionnaire. That would be most suited, as I have literally everyone do. And it's kind of like a pre-screening process, not an application. It's just a questionnaire form for me to pre-underwrite. I know how to pre-underwrite files based off that. Once I have documentation, once I understand where you're at and set up correctly, entity-wise or not, or how you're set up, and all these different aspects of your business, professionally, non-professionally, like I'll have a better understanding when it comes to that. So there you see that. Travel, as a lot of us do want. And you also have to understand that there are also a lot of travel rewards and perks. But you have to think about when it comes to spending on travel, well, if you want to meet your goal, how much traveling will you actually do? So there are cards out there that only limit it to that. And so it's not always in your best interest or benefit to get those cards, especially under the business if you're not traveling much, especially if you're at home and you're operating a business from a physical professional address. Maybe you have a virtual office, virtual address, virtual office in a physical location that you're tagged to or that you have part of your business. So earn 1 point per dollar on all other purchases with no limits to to the amount you can earn 5x total points, earn a total of 5x total points on lift rights through March of 2025. So that's why I recommend this one. And that's why also Chase has it. And why I brought it up too is because Chase is the mega. They're the mecca of all of this. And it's not because they just listed it and I just found that out that way. It's because I've been using it, as well as understanding that there are more perks and things that come with, and the amount of time they give you, the spending power on these cards, the approval amounts on these cards, comparable credit from personal to business, 2 to 3, 2 to 5 times the amount of what you have on your personal side. They are very helpful. Now over here, flexible redemption options for travel benefits, redeem rewards for cashback gift cards, travel and more through the Chase Unlimited Rewards. 100,000 points are worth $1,000 cash back for $1,000 250 towards travel when redeemed through Ultimate Rewards. So a lot of reward perks when it comes to this card. Your cashback rewards, they don't expire as long as your account is open, which isn't obvious. You don't want to just shut it down, close the card. And most people don't close their Chase card or cards, no matter how small it is, because it's the relationship. You want to make sure you make your payments on time. Maybe you don't have a relationship with them because of that and you never did pay it. And so what I recommend you do if you're in that situation, like I have a lot of people come to me and it does work at times, not always, depending on how much bleeding is, like the wound is open, as I like to say. There's not enough rush into the scene to cover that tissue and there's more scarring than anything. And maybe they don't want to help, but I'd get on it right away and make that payment or justify your case with them and build that relationship back, because Chase is huge when it comes to relationships. Like I can get into the relationship side so much more, but because of the time on this video, I'm going to be moving forward with this. So built-in protection for your business, employee cards, earn rewards faster with employee cards at no additional cost. And that is the biggest upside when it comes to the employee side. There is no additional cost. When your employees purchase, your business earns cash back. It is that simple. And this is a part of the equation. And the third part, you could say, or even the beginning reactant that most people want. It's like, no additional cost to me. So no fees on this or no that. Okay, I got to add this together. That's the last thing you want to worry about, especially as a business owner, if you're helping out your employees. And so you can see a little bit more information down here. You can get a little bit of a data point. So 3 points per dollar spent on shipping and other business categories. Enter your monthly spend, and that'll calculate things. 1 point per dollar spent on all other purchases. So it's at 5,000 right there on your monthly spend. And let's just say your one-time 100K bonus points, you could earn 340,000 points in your first year. Now we haven't even gotten into like the bread and butter of what I believe this is, but there are more cards, and we are not even going into the personal cards. I always recommend that if you're going to start off with Chase, or if you already have an established relationship, however good it is or wherever it's at, if you have a card of at least 10,000, that's going to do you a lot of good. Have 2 cards that have at least a $10,000 limit on both. If you have one, that's fine, because that'll do a lot better when you're trying to get approved for a business credit card. And you're going to have comparable credit to do equal. But a lot of the times, Chase will want to approve for a lot more, especially of the average age, especially on the age of those cards, especially on the relationship you have. They value that, again, relationship a lot heavier than a lot of other banks do that I've seen. But not to say that others wouldn't do that. It's just saying that they will value that a lot more. So you have the Ink Business Preferred, as we went into, the Ink Business Premier, the Ink Business Unlimited. I want to spend time on the Ink Business Unlimited and the Ink Business Cash. So I can go through that, but I'm going to show you here. And this is a great one to use that I've been using. It's amazing. A lot of great stuff on the upside when it comes to using this for business. So earn $900 bonus cash back after you spend $6,000. Not a whole lot. We're not asking for the 8,000 on a higher amount of bonus points, but after you spend 6,000 on purchases in the first 3 months after account opening. Now, that can be relatively high to somebody who doesn't have to endure that much spend, and they don't have to go through that much ordering or whatever it is they're doing. So I get that. It's different on each business. Unlimited 1.5 cash back on every purchase. That is relatively high, really normal, and what you're going to see across others as well. But it's a great one. It's not only the one that everybody just says, okay, that's what I wanted only for. But unlimited 1.5 cash back on every purchase, not just selective purchases. Unlimited rewards with no limit to the amount you can earn. And that's also a bigger upside and why people want that on the reward side, because there's no limit on that and you can go as far as you need to. So just spend more if you need. If you didn't spend it within the first 3 months, okay. But as that gradually grows, the rewards will start to grow even more. So you see that there. redemption options. You can redeem your credit, your rewards for cash back, gift cards, travel, and more through Chase Unlimited Rewards. Cashback rewards do not expire as long as your account is open, similarly to what I said earlier. APR, this is what attracts me to this the most. So look at over here on the business preferred on the very left-hand side, you see 21.24% to 26.24% variable, not fixed, but variable, as you'll see with credit cards in general. But it's not fixed for one. So if that varies, you got to understand how much you're using and what percentage you're getting out of your card. But more importantly, as a business owner, if you're using this for the right reasons, you're going to generate enough ROI from your activities. So if you have two or even just one revenue income generating stream, and that's what's bringing you all of the amount, maybe you have a subscription model, you have the low, the middle, the premium, or the pro model, and you know your clientele, you know your customers, you know your lifetime gross profit value of a client, and you know you're going to squeeze more out of that one person, but you're ascending them up, giving them more value, and you're giving them a better offer for them to take, and they're going to stick with you. So having that already in mind gives you a peace of mind, doesn't have you stress out, doesn't have you thinking, well, what happens if I lose somebody? What happens if the next month I don't have anybody that I bring in or I can't service them? Because maybe you're not your model, or maybe it's just the management, maybe it's just the operation and the way that it's going that it's not done correctly. And I can help with that. I've done quite a few things with that and helping people understand, like, look, this is what we need to ascend to, but do we need to focus on the margin of this, the margin of gross, the margin of net, break even? How many units are you trying to get out per week, per day, per month? How much inventory? Is it low cost inventory, high cost? Is it high in volume? What are you trying to do? Do you have enough storage? Are you in healthcare? Are you in retail? You're in the restaurant space, construction, trucking? What are you trying to do with that equipment? There's a lot more businesses that I've helped out, and I really have seen it all. Like sometimes there's a new sub segment of an industry that comes in, and there's a new reason to use funds and what the ROI potential is and what the actual projected cash flow and profitability is. But that's also what you need to understand as a business owner is to get that type of number, you have to know what you're doing currently. What are your current spending patterns, not powers, but yeah, spending powers, you could say. But what are your current spending patterns? What are your habits and your routines? It all comes down to habits and routines. It all comes down to automatic payments, understanding how much spend per month is something more fixed than it is variable, is something more variable than it is fixed. Is it just going to fluctuate? If you get new funding, you're going to get more expenses. Like there's a lot of things to look at, but 21.24 to 26.24% variable APR. And then you have here for your other one with the Premier at 19.49, so lower minimum, but a higher maximum just by a bit at 27.49%, again, variable APR. And if you're okay with that, if you got to start with that, that's one thing, as long as you understand how you are using good debt instead of bad debt. That's at the end of the day what you need to understand. If you're going to mitigate a risk, for how long? And what is the consequence of using it for that? And you can't use it for something else, can't have enough usage for. And then you got to pay down that card. Yeah, but you just spent a lot on these expenses and now you don't have anything freed up and your revenue is not where it needs to be, or you don't have extra cash flow. You don't have enough free cash flow. It's the way. It's one thing that operational cash flow is lacking, but then now free cash flow, not enough revenue coming in. It's a slow season or something happened. You don't want to use your cash flow reserves. Now you're having to turn into an equity partner, or you're having to turn into a credit partner, or for other reasons. Now you have collateral you want to give up for a cash out refinance. There's other things in mind, but it has to make sense of the amount. There's a lot more. I don't want to kind of bore you with all that. I got it down, guys. I'm an expert at what I do, and who else to learn from somebody who is in business. So this is my entrepreneurship business. I have one in the digital marketing agency, lead generation business, one in the health affiliate marketing space, helping people with vitamins and supplements. Hence why I said scar tissue. I've helped out people with proteolytic enzyme supplements. I use them myself. I actually have it right underneath me. I'm not going to be here to promote it. Or what's that word called? Shameless plug, I think. Yeah. So I won't do that here, but I've helped out people with that in other verticals in the affiliate space, other models that I've done too and tried have gone through as well, other ventures. But this has been my primary focus for many years now, and I've had those outsourced and done other things that I come back to. And I just have a passion for helping you. I really want to make sure that you're not taking down the wrong path, getting the wrong cards, but not only cards, but understanding how to get them, but how to use them effectively, and a bit of that, as well as going down the right path, not being overwhelmed, not feeling like, well, who you turn to, you feel shameful because you shouldn't have done that and it's too late. But there's always a chance to come back and try something different. But don't let your ego, don't let your stubbornness, don't let your ignorance, if you are that way, if you are, or if that comes about, if don't let your cockiness, don't let none of this get in the way and influence it. If so, leave it out the door before you bring this in, so it doesn't cause friction and resistance with you and I as well. And we get through things very fluidly. I never have problems with people unless they bring it up themselves. It's a shadow of themselves that's coming up, and that's okay. I got compassion for you. I'm gonna put my arm around your shoulder. That's who I am. I was brought up the right way. I was brought up through academics and stuff like that. But we can go through that later down the road. But I've worked also in hard fields. I've done things, and I got into data, financial logistics later, and that was my younger 20s too, back well some time ago too. And so once I transitioned into getting into the business side, it's like, okay, and now how do I use this? How do I apply this for these marketing and advertising spend for other costs, office supplies, a lot of stuff, grants, and all this other stuff. So you see that 0% intro APR on this unlimited car. Yeah, you got an unlimited car. 0% intro APR on purchases for the first 12 months after that variable APR of 18.49 to 24.49%. So it's lower than you get from the Premier, which is great. And it's also lower at a maximum for the Preferred and the Premier at 0%. No interest accumulated for the first 12 months. You see other cards out there we're going to get into in a second where you'll see 9 months, maybe 6 months. Maybe you get 18 to 21 or 24 months if you're a preferred client and a customer with them. And you have the right credit score. Other ones out there are going to have 0% or even not, but they're going to ask for a 740 to 750 to 850 or so credit score. And so you might not have that, and it's not going to be worth it because now they're going to have travel rewards. And if you don't spend that on the travel, it's like, why are you getting that card just because it can give you a higher limit and because you've heard good things about it? Things from American Express and this on the black card and all of this. Like, it doesn't always make sense to go after those. So you got to use the amount that you need. And I always tell people is if you're going to get the 0% interest cards, have not always, yeah, have an immediate use for it, but also understand how quickly you can get your return on investment from these cards because they won't be around always for 2+ years and more than that. So it's short term. It's not a short term solution to a longer term fix. Don't always look at it that way. It's a short term solution for a short term solution. And then also short term for longer term, depending on the risk of the investment that you're putting the funds into, what you're investing to, and then what rate of return you're going to get from it. So something you put in now might not be seen in about maybe a 12-month card. You're going to see something in return of 18 months, perhaps. And so that's what you're expecting. You're going to get enough margins by that point. But for now, you want to look at your expenses. You want to look at how much you're accumulating monthly, and you want to derive from that. So there's a lot of other reasons, but let's go into the rest of this. Employee cards at no additional cost. You see check marks for all. Travel and purchase protections. You see that for all on the top. For auto, rental, collision, damage, waiver. And then down here, you see trip cancellation / trip interruption insurance. The first two do have that, but with the other two, you don't. And so I didn't go into it up here, but let me go back up above before I go into the bottom there. And we didn't go through all of this, but you see that there, the unlimited side. And then now let's go over here. You see similarly on the cash card, earn $900 bonus cash back after you spend $6,000 again on the first 3 months that you have this. 5% cash back on the first $25,000 spent. So you see how much you're getting back instead of a 1.5, but you're getting 5% on your first 25,000. Now that's kind of the not the catch you want to say, but by the time you get these cards, a lot of the times they give a higher approval. These cards can go high. I've seen a lot, even over 50, but it just depends on what you have. So if you're going to spend 25,000 getting a $50,000 card or in combined total, like think about that. Like that's not bad at all, especially when you're getting 0%. You need to make these payments. I need to get at least 50 to 75K to mitigate these expenses and to control my cost of goods sold and to do all this other stuff that I'm going to expect to bring in revenue. Okay, now where am I at? So you got to look at those things. And combined purchases at office supply stores and on the internet, cable, and phone services, each account anniversary year. So very common that people will use it for that. And also it's great because when you're also combining this type of business credit with cards and vendor credit, that's another side of business credit, by the way. I'm going to leave more information down below, but there is vendor credit, trade credit, store credit, fleet credit, things that I've also amounted to. And I've used a specific system to get me there much faster. And I recommend you do too. And I'll try to leave more information down below because if you try to do it your way or maybe somebody else's way that you're unfamiliar with or they don't do it correctly, you can spend a lot of time building your business credit through vendor credit, trade credit, and building these vendor accounts, looking at Uline, Granger, Quill, Creative Solutions. There's a lot of them that I can name. And the auto space, maybe for trucking, things that you need for equipment. But you build your way up to get to the position that you need. So that way you can also help your employees with gas cards and gas cards, excuse me, it almost sounded like cars again, but that and more. 2% cash back on the first $25,000 spent in combined purchases at gas stations and restaurants, each account anniversary year. So if you use this correctly, and that's what you need to use the majority of it for, this is the right one for you. The cash card is what people use for spending at gas stations, a majority of, and then also for the restaurant perks. And then also if you're going to need to get inventory and things that you need for your own restaurant. And then you're also sending people out. You have a fleet of people on the road, or you need to go and do it yourself. There's a lot of good reasons for this. 1% unlimited cash back on all other purchases with no limit to the amount you can earn. So you can redeem your rewards for cashback, gift cards, travel. We're going to kind of go through this, speed through this. We can get to the next part. But 0% intro APR, and then you see 18.49, the same to 24.49%. You see here, we're going to go down travel and emergency assistance services, yes, on all. And then besides the 0%, you get cell phone protection for the other two that are not. Extended warranty protection all across the board. So you see here these benefits. You can learn a little bit more there. Built-in fraud protection, very good. And things that you can do too is in your back office, you can even look at your mobile app to get started, do comparisons with these cards with other cards. It has a lot of flexibility to do that. The customer support is amazing. They don't always give you all the information because they don't always have it, because the underwriters usually will have that. But if you have a banking relationship manager, that's going to do a lot good. And sometimes they give you more. They're very nice, and I'm usually in contact with them quite a bit. So here, Chase provides the following business banking products for your needs. You can see that chip-based cards, line of credit, business credit cards, merchant services, business debt cards, commercial banking, business services, business checking. Quite a few things there. Now, I'm going to go to the next part here, but we could have gone into all of this, like, let's say, apply now. Let's get started. So you're going to put simply some personal information, authorizing officer title, put what you have here, owner. I'm not going to fill this in for time right now too, but you're going to run through all this. You might be able to do this, populate it, and just check it. Don't just auto-populate and not. Make sure you have it correctly. And so I'm not going to get through all of the little details here, but yes, they normally will ask for an SSN, social security number. There you see a field for. You can say if you want to show address type. So here, domestic, military, which is there and acceptable. Street address, state, and you're going to go through this part and some business information. So up here, total gross annual income, this is what you earn on or reasonably expect to earn in a year, so projected income. If you're 21 or older and regularly use income from others to pay your bills, you can include that to alimony, child support, or separate maintenance income needed not be revealed if you do not wish to have it considered as a basis for repaying this. So you don't have to add that. Obligation, that if you include non-taxable income that you or your tax advisor has determined isn't subject to income tax, increase that amount by 25%. So if that's excluded, if that's not in there, then you could do that then by 25%. So always check in with your tax advisor, check with your CPA, see how they can assist you with that. If you need to adjust something on your form 1040 or 1120, whatever it may be. But that's helpful there too. It's just projected a lot, household, things like that. Business info, legal business structure, you can do that. And this is the part where most people get caught up on. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but you see here the pricing information similar to what we went earlier, more or less. And then you just certify, and there's more information here on that. So submit, but make sure you have the right entity. Like, yes, sole proprietorship, that should work, but I always recommend that you have a business address, phone number, professionally, everything, email address. You're listed in the directories, have a website. You don't have to have more than one employee, or you don't have to have employees if it's just you singularly. Business phone number. You don't want to put your home phone number. I do see a big difference in the approval amount and them taking you really serious as a business. And so they want to lend to businesses as much as they can so they can earn on interest eventually and do a lot of other things with what they have already of assets on hand and things that they're converting. But yeah, that's what I'm going to mention on that. I don't want to go too far in depth, but make sure you fill out the right categories. And I have information on how you can do this correctly and get your business set up correctly if you're trying to get like an LLC, LP, different corporation, S Corp, C Corp, under LLC underneath S Corp, C Corp, things like that. So we're going to go ahead and leave this. And you'll see that kind of like similar like thing that comes up when you when you're trying to go in like your mobile app and other things too, most of the time. It looks like you left before, completing the application. Can you tell us why? So we might bring you to this and you can submit that. Let's go ahead and exit out of this one. And we just went through Chase. Now, the next one on our list, and one that I highly recommend, and this might happen here on the screen. Okay, didn't time out, so I didn't exit me out because I didn't click through. But American Express, excuse me, Business Platinum Card is really the widely regarded one that most people have right now and use most of. There's also the Plum Card, but the Plum Card is great for you being able to have an additional amount of months to be able to make the payments. So if you're using a lot of inventory, high volume, high volume costs, maybe it's a lot of on your cost of goods sold, on your overhead, and you really need more extra time to make the payments. And not just for those reasons, there's many more that people use it for. I've used it for, and I have those reasons, by the way. So if you had a question on it, like, could I use it in this scenario better versus this one, or you think this would be a better outcome? Well, there's a lot of other numerical things too in situations, not on just data or numbers mathematically, that I would also have to understand to better position you so you can get the most use out of that card, if that makes sense. There's a lot of intricacies. Every person has a different need and what you're going through. And so you also want to look out for yourself on the personal side. And that's why business credit cards are great, because for the majority of the times, they're not going to give you the payments showing on the personal side unless you use ones from like Capital One and others. If you use that the right card for that, or if you don't, but if you don't use the right one, it's going to report to your personal credit bureaus on all three, sometimes one to two or all three, maybe just one, but all three usually you'll see. And you just have to be careful about that. And if you're going to be using your utilization, running it up, you don't want that to be shown on your business credit card or cards and the accounts. Now you're going to have too many accounts on that side, and you're going to be combining your personal and business. And when you start seeing all the purchases, especially in your bank statements and all this, you don't want to get yourself into situations where now you have to organize all of this, and now you have personal and business credit card purchases, but for also for protecting your business and making sure you build enough business credit at the end of the day to get you better approvals, especially for loans and even more credit cards. It does a lot good. There's different stages for each person on that. Over here, you see Business Platinum Card. So I'm going to quickly run through this list and try to click through them. But Business Gold Card is another great one. Any kind of business credit cards in general, but charge cards as well. Those are going to help you add up much more usage, but making sure that you make the payment within the month. Usually can't have that roll over. So that's what you have to be cautious of when doing these. So like a Brex card, but it's a corporate card, it's an EIN card. You got to make that payment within that month to be able to then go ahead and use again and again and not make sure you're missing your payments. And that's another thing. When you're using the American Express charge cards, don't overspend. Like, only know how much you need to spend on. Excuse me, sorry, phone ringing. And so here you also have the Blue Business Cash Card. And I'm going to click through a few of these here, but you also have the Blue Business Plus credit card, very popular as well. In addition to these here, in addition with charge cards, you can add some business credit cards, the Plum Card, as I mentioned there before. And again here, but built-in flexibility to help you manage your cash flow, which is much better because again, if it gives you more time, you have that operational cash flow that you're not hindering on, and you're not just depending on month to month to really come back up. Instead, you're giving it some breathing room. You're having more free cash flow, investment, financial cash flow, and you're letting yourself be able to make payments for other things that you need in the business before you end up paying this card, albeit that you have enough also to make sure you make the payment on. But get unlimited 1.5 cash back on eligible charges when you pay within 10 days of your statement closing date, but also know your cycle. Understand your statement, your closing. Understand, like, if you purchase inventory, what's your cycle on that inventory? How fast do you expect to get that depleted, or just a few products then hanging out on your shelf before you get new products, or you've already added a lot into a store. So you got to think about that. Other types of businesses as well, but I'm not going to get into each and every single one of them right now. So just pay your minimum payment due by your payment due date and see the discount applied to your next statement. And that's a big plus with American Express. The Business Green Rewards Card, Amazon Business Prime Card is another popular one that people use. So if you're using quite a bit of Amazon, there you go. Amazon Business Card in general, Delta Sky Miles Platinum Business Card, Delta Sky Miles Gold Business Card. Now we're kind of getting into kind of like, I don't want to say lower tier, but when you're talking about travel, when you're talking about how much bonus miles you want to get out of these cards, some offer more than others. Like you see 50,000 to then 20,000 of a difference to 70,000. The Hilton Honors Business Card. So if you're going in through Hilton, you're going through locations on Hilton Honors Business Credit Card, this is a great one. So anytime you have hotel cards from whatever place they are, you can have them on hand. You're going to be traveling you're going to be making selective purchases and doing things through that. That's what I recommend. The Marriott Bonvoy Business Card is a very popular one. The Lowe's Business Rewards Card. So up here, we're going to go through the Blue Business Cash Card. Earn a $250 statement credit card, or credit, excuse me, on that. So that's what you get, kind of like Chase, but when you get to earn a $250 statement credit on it, you can get that, but after you spend $3,000 in purchases on your card in your first 3 months. So instead of spending $6,000 to $8,000 on like the preferred card or on the Inc card, on the unlimited, and then the other card, cash card, you're getting only $3,000 in purchases. So that's not too high if you think about it. A lot of people need like $4,000 to $5,000 when they're just trying to get a little bit, maybe just to get them over. So if that's going to do enough for you, there's that. Intro APR, 0% introductory APR on purchases for the first 12 months. So what I always recommend, get two Chase credit cards, 2 American Express cards. That usually can be enough to get you to the 100K mark with 4 cards. Just those 4 alone from those 2 institutions. Great. Now, if you can't get those, or we need to mix up a few before you get American Express, or before you get Chase, but I always recommend going to Chase first, then okay, what other ones can we look at? I can help you with that, especially on the credit stacking side. More information on that, I'll leave for you down below. Excuse me. So I had oatmeal earlier today too for brunch. So probably what's happening. So from the date of the account opening, again, from the date of the account opening, it's not like it's going to be paused and then like people want loans and like, can we pause this account for a month or 2 before you start making payments on it? Like that's not how things work. That's not how life works. Maybe there's a time, maybe you're going through a trouble and something just abruptly came up. It's like so huge, but like know what you're getting into. And a lot of the times when it's not 0%, even when it's 0%, have the money when like you need to use the money. Make sure you already have the money or you're already planning to have the money. Don't just do it at a rush the last second, because that's why people fall into a lot of problems, is because they don't have enough funds for the business. They don't have enough cash flow. It's different types of cash flow we can get into in the formulas, but I don't want to bore you with that here. Not for the purpose of this video too. I do that on my end when I'm reviewing a lot. I'm analytically going through things, helping people try to get approved for different things and understanding like what they would get approved for and like what's the process like and all that. So after that, your APR will be a variable rate of 18.49 to 26.49%. So similarly, you'll see that with like Chase. So 2% on everyday eligible business purchases, 1% cash back on other eligible purchases. And you see here, cash flow flexibility. You can buy above your credit limit with expanded buying power if the business needs aren't constant. And I can get into cost of goods sold, the overhead. Like, there's not only limited to those 2 constraints, fixed and variable. There's other things in the business that we need to look at, things that are outliers, things that are not there yet but will be, things that are already on our personal side that we're using for business or we plan to use for business because we've exceeded a lot of things. So your spending power shouldn't be either. Expanded buying power gives you the freedom to spend beyond your credit limit and get business done. Just remember this, though, that the amount you can spend above your credit limit, it's not unlimited. It just, with your use of the card, your payment history, credit record, financial resources known to us, and other factors. So just wanted you to know that. Rewards, cashback, earn 2% cashback on all eligible purchases on 50,000, up to 50,000, excuse me, per calendar year. So that's per calendar year. Then 1% after that. Cash back earned is automatically credited to your statement. So you got things set up automatically. Okay, we're good to go. Let's go. Let's put things into our business to work for us. Let's make sure we get enough out of this. We squeeze enough out of that lemon, get that juice, put it into the salad or whatever you're putting it into, mix it together, put the cheese on top, the croutons, the Caesar salad, the Italian dressing, whatever you do. If you even eat salads, I might have one later actually, because I'm going to walk in a jog after this. Just want to be transparent. I'm like an old man at my age. I have a routine, non-negotiables, and I just want to look out for myself and make sure my health, and I'm doing well. It's just I have a routine, so it's like even when I'm good, like I don't want to break that pattern. And that's what entrepreneurs, that's what us do. We kind of stick to a schedule, and I do things that are a lot boring than most people would, but I love that, and that's what I've learned to love. That's what you got to learn to love too, is the repetition of the boring stuff, and that's what's going to get you to further in your own business. So you see here, travel, car rental, loss, damage insurance, global assist hotline. So these are great things. And similarly, sometimes what you'll see on the Chase cards as well, but I'm not going to go through all of that, but expense management tools. And that's another big bonus that not a lot of the times you'll get from every other institution, other banks or other online banks, or you get from just these fintech providers or just online credit cards in other ways. but connect to QuickBooks so you can manage your budget, you can manage your expenses. That's very important. Don't just put it all in like a spreadsheet, just listing every single expense, every single gross profit or every gross margin that you're making or the gross revenue and understanding your net from all of that. But really break this down. If you have to do it that way, okay. The beginning, like I've done before, but if you have something that you can quickly connect to and pull everything from and withdraw from and send and understand it better, there you go. Online statements, and I'll leave more information in QuickBooks down below. I think I did a review a long time ago, but I'll leave information of that down below. Things do change, but I'll leave that. That's there for the most part. Online statements, account manager, account alert, year-end summary, vendor pay bill by bill.com. It's a great one. That American Express app, and I'm always within that, by the way, bill.com. And then here, reply today and get a decision in as little as 30 seconds. So I'm going to go through this really quickly. And you see the Blue Business Plus card. See the gold there, the other platinum. But here, 2X, similarly, 1X. And we're going to quickly just run through this. See the Business Gold card. That's another great one to use. So these from American Express are great to use in addition to the Plum card and the reward points. That's also why a lot of people like it because of the spending power on them and how you can use them. But the amount of reward points you get from this, being a member, and that's after you spend $10,000. So the higher you're seeing, the higher the amount, usually the higher amount that you have to spend on eligible purchases with your card in the first 3 months of credit card memberships with them. And so it's not always like 6 months. Maybe you see that from some, but it's usually you're going to get 3 months for the majority. And they want to give you enough breathing room, but they also want to be sure that they're getting in their net and they're getting their return on what they should be getting from you, as well as understanding that they have their own business that they got to run from that. So how you earn 4x points on your top 2 eligible categories, 3x points, and that's 4x on your top 2. It's not like one category you're going to be making selective purchases on. Like you have freedom of range to use. And if you use it a lot for different categories, like even better. 4x points on your top 2 eligible categories, 3x points on flights and prepaid hotels, 1x points on all other eligible purchases. So up to $395 in business value. You can see that there, right there on screen. So the rewards. And for Walmart, and then we're going to go back here really quickly to show you that. I use these, they're very helpful. I have a lot of selective purchases myself. Don't always use it for all the same reasons for every single card, like the Plum card if you have a lot and you need more time, but also being able to run up as much on a card. And that's why a lot of charge cards are great, as are business credit cards. And so here you see a little bit more. Instead of 4x, you get 5x points on flights and prepaid hotels. That's what it's on. So if you're not going to be doing that much, but it's still helpful. It's not like that's the only thing you need to use this for, since you have 1.5x points on eligible purchases in key business categories and on eligible purchases of 5K or more everywhere else. So there's an added amount. See in the details below, and then cap applies. 1x points on other eligible purchases made using your business platinum card. So you see a little bit there. We're going to run through this quickly. And although we didn't spend much time on the Plum card, that is there. Let's go ahead and we might circle back, but let's go to our next one on the list. And I'm going to try to close out here, maybe give you a few more bonus ones. So you also have the Bank of America cards. You have the Business Advantage. There's 2 of them. There's 2 of them that are primary, I'd say, at least, just 2 of these that I would say are the most used, at least that I use most of, that a lot of business owners use most of. And the time is great to use this. The amount of an approval, especially if you have a relationship with them in conjunction with Chase, like if you use these 2 cards next to one another, it can really help a business grow and scale much faster than if you didn't. It's like the same thing you could say with Chase and American Express, but with these 2, it's really heavy on the relationship, as is American Express, but it's really heavy on that. And so if you can use their cards in the first 3 months as much as you can, even sometimes exceeding the utilization, I don't always recommend that, but if you were to do that, it's very helpful on their part because they see you're using your card and they wouldn't mind that necessarily. They don't want you to, but if you can use it just over like 1 to 5% over what you should be using and then pay that off like as fast, like that same day or within 24 to 72 hours, that's going to do a big difference. And you're going to see your credit even increase. It depends on if it can. It also is also on how much you're making purchases on, depends on where you're positioned. But you see here the Business Advantage Unlimited Cash Rewards Credit Card, $300 online statement credit offer. You can earn 1%, 1.5%, cash back on every purchase every time. So we're going to go through here and see an overview. So Before I go into that one, let's go back into the Business Advantage Unlimited Cash Rewards credit card. So this is the one that a majority of people try to get. Now with with Bank of America, sorry, I was going to get into US Bank. US Bank, I'm going to cover that one actually. I'm going to give you that one right now, but why I don't recommend that one to go with first. So what you want to do too is if you don't have accounts open with these institutions, make sure you open them up. Chase, Bank of America, online with American Express, with US Bank, go in person, open that up. Make sure you have that relationship, but have those accounts open on the personal, on the business side. Start off with a personal card from each. The approval amounts may not be much. You might not get over 10,000. Okay, that's fine. But do you have enough comparable credit to then get approved for 10K and above? Okay, you probably do, but you don't have a relationship yet. They might want to start you off a little bit less, and then in some time quickly turn that around or get a couple of cards from like a Bank of America here, and then run those up and then increase the limits and then try to get more thereafter. So Business Advantage Limited Cash Rewards Credit Card, online offer. It's $300 statement credit bonus. Earn unlimited 1.5 cash back, as I said before, or join preferred rewards for business for no fee and earn up to an unlimited 2.62% cash back. So that's a big jump, actually. When you might not think that's a big jump. When you're looking at how much you can get back in return at the end of the year, think about this. On 0% cash back rewards, how much do you probably have an extra that you can put back into your business to grow its cash reserves, to grow your operational expenses? But also, when you're growing that, is to also control it. So you have enough to control it. So it's not just about growing more, it's about controlling when you grow. It's about controlling those expenses, controlling those overhead costs, those costs of goods sold, and much more. So you see that, choose how to redeem your cash rewards. Mine says as a deposit into your Bank of America checking or savings account, as a card statement credit, or as a check mailed to you. So that's a big advantage that Bank of America gives you that not all the time others will. You will see that, but that's how you see that and how you can have that deposited and converted. 0% introductory, and that's why I love this one. APR on purchases for the first 9 billing cycles. Now it's not 12, now it's not 18, it's not 6, but it is 9. It's in between those two by a difference of 3 months, 6 to 9, 9 to 12. And so 9 months, look at this card and go, well, that's not enough time. But yes, it is. When you think about the nature of the business, when you think about when are you going to get that return on investment, but how much of a margin are you going to be operating at that point? Okay, well, I have an eligible about 2 more months to be able to use this card as much as I can use it. I'm going to run it up. And I'm going to use it in a way that maybe I wouldn't have used it traditionally or thought of, but I have an extra couple of months to use this card. How should I use it? Boom. After the intro, APR offer ends, a variable APR that's currently 18.49 to 28.49%. So higher than some of the Chase cards, but not necessarily higher on the minimum side, on the maximum side. So this online only offer, it may not be eligible if you leave this page. If you visit a Bank of America financial center or call the bank, you can take advantage of this offer when you plan out. So they always give you this like scarcity tactic or fear of missing out, FOMO. Yeah. So it's not like necessarily a rule, but at times you'll see that. That may not apply because there's things that change with credit cards. So it's better to get sooner in rather than later. And again, if you need somebody to help you or it's done for you, where you can get multiple cards at once at 0% interest, where you don't have to make mistakes for energy and time sake as well, which a lot of people do. They don't want to have to try to take all that time. It's like they don't know what cards they'll pull from what banks, from their location, the relationship, how they can liquidate the cash out of these cards, because that is a possibility too, to liquidate the cash out of these cards, to use them as a down payment, use them at a different system of the merchant processor, things that you don't always hear and see out there. But I have those relationships as well that are going to help you a lot. So you have the Business Advantage Travel Rewards Credit Card, Alaska Airlines Business Credit Card, Platinum Plus MasterCard Business Card, Business Advantage Unlimited Cash Rewards MasterCard, but that's a secured credit card, and I won't get into the secured space in this video. But let's go back up here. Business Advantage Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card, the online offer, it's $300 statement credit bonus. You earn 3% cash back on electric vehicle EV charging station purchases. So charging stations on this, not just in general. Earn 3% cash back in the category of your choice and your choosing. So again, that's up to you. 2% cash back on dining purchases. I'm not saying like you got to go into a specific restaurant to dine into. So for the first 50,000 in those combined choice category, dining purchases each calendar year and 1% thereafter. So that's an additional bonus, and 1% cash back on all other purchases. So that's an additional amount. Or join preferred rewards for business for no fee and earn up to 5.25%. So now you're earning more than you would have with the other card, with the unlimited. That's why it's a cash rewards credit card. That's what it is made for. Up to 3.5% cash back on dining purchases. Now that jumps up to that category. So from 2 to 3.5%. So major jump. When you don't think it is, oh, see how much you make purchases on this, and you'll be able to know. And so you see here a little bit more. Choose how to redeem your credit cards or your cash rewards on these credit cards, I should say. 0% APR, the same 9 billing cycles after intro APR offer ends. Variable APR 18.49 to 28.49. So similarly there, you'll see more or less. And so a little bit more information. But if we just click down here and we were to click over here to see a little bit more information, you can learn more about the card details, interest rates and fees, feature, security. But this is a very general view. You might get more added, like when it comes to bonuses and things that you hit. And it's very helpful to have these cards. It's been life-changing. I'm not going to get into my story right now, like so much, but I'll try to leave more time at the end. We're going to go into another card right now, which is through US Bank. Surprise. Well, I think you saw this one coming. What gave that off? Maybe I said something. I did. In case you missed that part. But they have US Bank cards here that are well sought out after, but they're not always the first on my list that when I try to go credit stack for people, because they don't really want to offer so much. Like if you don't have higher than 700 credit, like 750, 740 and above, excellent credit as well. Like don't expect them to lend you this outrageous 15 to 25,000 at once. They're probably going to give you closer to 10 to 15K, anything underneath 740, 750 a lot of the times. But it's not only based on that factor. Inquiries, they're a lot inquiry sensitive. Even if you meet the threshold, but you have one more than what they would have wanted, that can be a docking of 5 to 10,000. That's literally a lot of the time. And then your credit usage, the balances, the utilization on all these balances, there's a lot more. And so they don't always want to lend as much. But it is one on the list that I do recommend highly when you can get into. It might not be one of the first three. It could be on the first three if you did Chase, Bank of America, US Bank, especially if you had a relationship with them, but you wanted to do it correctly. Or even if you didn't, but that's one we can open up to see because it'll be helpful to at least get started with something. And you could at least shoot for a funding goal of what you needed. And that's a card we can add onto. That's really cool to do too. So more credit cards you can be interested in. There's down here the SkyPass card. But let's go ahead and click through on this one. But before that, actually, you have 0% intro APR on purchases and balances transfer for the first 18 billing cycles. And that's why a lot of people want it. It's really because of the time. So it's like somebody come getting a loan from me or an advance, and they were expecting a 2-year term. Okay, well, we can try to get closer to 18 years if you have, or 18 months, excuse me, well, 18 years. But 18 months, if you have the fundability, the credit, the revenue, everything else matches, everything looks good, your industry type, cash balances, reserves, cash flow, average daily bank balances, starting in all this. But if it all looks good, like 18 is like a max that most people get with shorter term advances slash loans. So that would be within the vicinity for a lot of people. And then 0%, like, wow. Like all these other people over here are getting 27%, 45%, 60%. And if you convert that like cash advance, which isn't a traditional business loan, into an APR, you're probably going to get 100 to 300% plus maximum, 300% plus. But it's about how you use the funds at the end of the day. Does the benefit exceed the repayment? Are you taking like an advanced type of product? Even if you take the money out of this with an advance, not always you have to use an advance. There's merchant processors and other ways too at a low cost. But what you're doing with that money, take 30,000, pay back 43,000 in about 8 months, 10 months, 15 months, whatever it is. Well, can you make about 50,000? Can you make more, not just break even? And then do that consistently. Keep your margins up or keep them stable. What do you have to do there? There's a lot of other things to look at. So you see that here. Now let me go ahead and click on learn more, but $0 annual fee. That's also a big reason why people want it. So enjoy a low intro APR until 2024. They say that, but hey, that could change. But if you don't get in soon enough, you might miss out on that intro because things do change. Look at a key bank. That's another one, but it's not here on the list. I'll try to leave more information down below. And if it's not all there, I'll bring out more information to show you. I'm just trying to give you the best ones that I recommend going into 2024 as well and beyond, not just 2024. Below annual fee, dedicated service, Visa Spend Clarity. You see that? And then the dedicated service, which is a great thing that US Bank has, like a Chase Bank. Bank of America too, I'd say they're as helpful. But US Bank really does dedicate a lot to their service. Now, every person can vary. I know some people in the comments might think, well, we weren't as helpful. But what was the circumstance? Like, well, when did you call in? Or what did you do to go in and do? Did you have what you needed ready? Like, there's a lot of little things. Like, I have my things ready because I took the time to educate myself back then when I was trying to fund those businesses. And so understanding that is very helpful. So what their customers are saying, see how much you could save with 0% APR for the first 18 billing cycles. You could enter the amount of credit or the loan that you would like to transfer. So let's just say you want to do 10,000. You can even subtract, you can even add there, enter the APR of the balance you would like to transfer. Let's just keep it at 19.9%. So your potential savings during introductory period is 2,756. What would you do with that? Balance transfer cost, so low. So if you're crying about $300, like, yeah, your business is probably a lot less in revenue, and you need to, like, every little dollar counts. I get that. I get that. Even if you're a higher revenue business, I still look at it like that. Like, okay, it's $300. Like, to me, I'm like that. Like, I do take care of those things, and even if it's a small amount, like, that's how we think, and I'm very precious about how I invest my money, like fundraisers and things like that. I like to give back and do things like that, hospitals and things like that. Like, that matters a lot. So it's about how you use this and how effectively you will be using it. Total net savings, $2,456. Benefits, mobile payments, card control, security, pay overtime with the U.S. Bank extended pay plan. So divide your eligible purchases into equal monthly payments with no interest during your chosen repayment period, just a small fixed monthly fee. So you can divide those monthly payments. Think about it like a balance transfer card, but you're dividing those payments. So that's very, very helpful. And we're not going to get into balance transfers right now and all of that, but I can help you with that in time. So interested in other options, you can check that out. Frequently asked questions. Let's go ahead and go back here and check out the other ones that we saw. One more, and then you have the Connect. So learn more here. For travel, which is a great one. 5x points for hotel and car rentals are 5x more rewarding when booked directly in the reward center. 4x points on travel, including airfare, hotels, gas, and EV charging stations on the first 150,000 combined annual spend. 2x points on dining. So not always the highest, but it's there. Takeout, restaurant, delivery, and cell phone services, and 1 point for all other purchases. So at that level, at that basic level, that's very helpful. So 60,000 there on bonus points for the travel side if you're going to be using it for business travel. So understand those expenses and how much you do travel. It's really helpful. And that's why it's one of the ones that's actually given on the front, because we're at the time of the year where people are traveling, like Christmas time, Thanksgiving. And so this video will still be relevant till the next year and beyond, I believe so. So you can always come back and refer to this. So that's a great thing with US Bank to use. Now, another one, I wouldn't necessarily say this is the top 3 or 4 on my list, but when you're getting started, like a Capital One, Spark, 1.5% cash select, like you'd see with other ones, unlimited rewards, a $0 annual fee as others, but a 0% intro purchase rate for the first 12 months. Like anything there on the business or on the personal side is just as helpful. And so you want to always establish a relationship. And a lot of the times for entry level cards or for higher tier cards, they're exclusive ones. Those are very helpful to get into with a higher credit. But be cautious, because if you have cards that are with Capital One, they could be reporting to your personal credit, unless that's not a big issue and you're trying to build or rebuild your credit. Like, that's not so much of a big deal, especially if you're using secured cards. You're going through like a Discover or a Navy Federal, you're turning these unsecured into unsecured accounts. You have a Navy Federal pledge loan, a few things you're making installments on at least 80% of it, and then converting that over, and then understanding how to move debt from one place to the next. Maybe you need debt consolidation of credit cards right now. I help people with that as well. And so you see that here, 1.5% cash or unlimited rewards as we went into. Minimum payment rewards your way, and see how much you can earn based on your monthly spending. Automatic payments, $0 fraud liability, year-end summaries, account managers, purchase records, virtual card numbers. Another one is the classic card from Spark. See, kind of like the yellow goldish type of one, but that's another great one to use. And I always recommend that one. And that's usually like the starter card for a lot of people. So you see here the Spark 1% Classic and the Spark 1.5% next to that one, and the Cash Select. As you see the 2 right there. And that's going to be for more of an excellent credit once you build your way up, if you haven't already. And then these are for carrying a balance with 0 intro APR. So that's why it's that helpful, with just like the intro APR. But you see the Spark 1% Classic, that's a great one to go into for credit building if you're trying to do that, and then build your way up from that one card to the next one, or you can work your way backwards, especially if you endured some hardships and you needed to do that. You see here, Spark 2% Cash Plus is a great one. Venture X Business is another one that I had on my list, but that's also a much harder one for most people to get into. But it's a charge card with elevated travel rewards. You can earn $150,000 in bonus miles in the first 3 months, plus a $300 annual Capital One travel credit. So it's a lot geared for the travel side of things. And if you don't need that, you don't need that. Spark 2x miles, another one, Spark 1.5x mile select. So I've used quite a few of these myself. but I won't go too much into depth into all of them for time as well. But for fair credit, maybe you have 580 more or less, good credit. So you're rebuilding your credit, you have it in the door. Now you're going to get another card. Let's go for the Spark 1.5% cash select. Or we go away from Spark cards and we go into another institution to look like it looks a lot better for credit approvals. If they're not even going to increase your current credit to like 5 to 10,000, a lot of times people shut it down because it's the card they don't use most of. But your average age could be affected. Just affected. Just understand that. Don't just close an account just to close an account because you haven't used the card, or we'll use it anymore unless it makes sense, unless you replaced it or there's another card equal to at the amount at the same time you got it, or it won't really affect things. Okay, but usually don't do that. So here you see that, and then you have the Venture X business as I went into a little bit earlier. But you see there at a glance. I'm not going to spend all the time on this, but because this is on travel side of things and it's not really the one that I would have had on my list as number one or within the first three or so. So that's all I'm going to spend time on in this video. Let me go ahead and open this here. I was hoping to do this earlier, but this is from my site here that I put together. I put all of this, by the way, and it's because of the background too. I had started in the digital marketing agency lead generation space, like I had said in the beginning, and then I evolved into other markets. I was doing things at the same time, and then having focused on this. So I put all this together, and for you, perhaps I outsource some of it later to maybe bring it up more, but I think it's where it's at in great position in what I've done. But there's a lot of material on here you can check out if you're new, learn more about myself, different social media channels. You can even click down here. I might add more if it enables me, allows me to, and as things change, or if I want to add another one, but that's fine. And then what is Viral Funding Solutions? You can see why I work with Viral, but also about myself. You can learn more about myself right there. Blog, it will take you to an external site with Viral Home-Based Pursuit. That's like where I do all my blogging on this. I have different niches that I do that on. I might move a lot of it to this one, but that's where it will take you to in case you're questioning, or maybe it just keeps you on this side. Apply now. It's probably going to be a questionnaire it takes you to. Real estate capital, I do that too with real estate investors for fix and flips, multifamily, triplex, duplexes, for commercial property, residential, commercial. I do a lot with real estate as well. So I know my stuff when it comes to that. I understand the amount of units. I understand the costs associated. I can help you with that side as much as I can also on the business side. Again, I've been doing this for a while, guys. I'm an introvert. I just don't talk much. I'm trying to get through this material. Maybe you find it hard to believe. I've just built the skill set. It gets the tolerance is the word, but I'm going to help you out. Don't worry about it. I got it. I have this really broken down to a science. Spend a lot of time on, like, quote unquote, nothing ever is perfect, but quote unquote perfecting things and making sure they're accurate. So appointments initially start off with a Facebook consult and it's a chat Facebook consult, not the whole voice call or on the camera, because I have to be energy and time efficient in all that I do. So I want you to know that. If you click here, it'll likely bring you to a quiz questionnaire. You can fill out some simple, you can click on some buttons. Is the word? Yeah. So right here, it'll bring up, are you a startup or non-startup? And the format might be different. So it takes you to another page over time, learn more about the process. Some of the companies that have helped get funding, there are plenty more. I just put a handful of them there. Learn more about myself down there. So you can go through here and just answer some question. What will you be using the funds for? A lot of people try to like run through it. And then you can enter your details to get the results with a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist along with a free grant list and all business loan / funding up to date news. So let's go back here. But the one that I recommend you fill out first, if you haven't, is this one right here. Like you can go to get started. I'm going to leave a direct link to this page down below. Get the funding your business needs fast with the help of a real expert. Click one of these two that applies to you, and you'll get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist, funding checklist, and also showing for real estate side too, not just on the business side, small business and medium size and so forth and larger, but and 900 plus exclusive free grant document list. That may change over time. I might not even give it off or give it out right here, but that's there when you fill this out. And it's not given just to be given. I have a free grant list that's a minimal amount, then I have a larger amount, and I won't charge for that. Maybe I charge for extra training or services, but not even for that. And if I bring people in and stuff like that, but there's more things down the road and things that you can check out there. Our services, you can learn more of the fast, simple steps. Again, similar results, and you can learn more about there. And click one of these two. I'll just click non-startup as I am one, unless I was getting into startup or I was purchasing a business non-startup. Get the funding your business needs fast. Please read this. Like, don't just skip over this. Like, glance at it. Okay, come back here. I know people do, but understand that I am a real expert in this. Business loan broker, funding expert, pre-underwriter / underwriter. I don't waste my energy and time. And so I'm very punctual and disciplined. I have my pet peeves when people don't give feedback. Like, you're not responsive. You say you're going to get something done, and even if you put a time and a place on it, Like that's a habit. If you're not doing that, you're making that a habit consistent not only in your own business and businesses, but in your own personal life a lot of the time. So you can get this done in literally less than a minute. It doesn't take you that much time. Shouldn't take you that much time. About us, services, fill that in. Thank you page. You can literally get started from there unless I change things. So that'll be everything from me. All information will be down below in the description. If you did get value from this, please give it a thumbs up. Share with others who you feel will get value from it. It can be a complete stranger, a friend, or a family member. And if you have not subscribed, I'd greatly appreciate that you do so you don't miss any content. Also, click that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything. You can return back and get more credit card tips and help and also other pieces of funding. That is everything from me. Check in the description to get started, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care. Bye.